After your narrow escape from the volcano, you mull over what you learned at the summit. The truth about the dragon and the medicine, what the Ivory Order and Sherwin are actually after, and Vince's dying warning about Dragon Tear destroying the world. You decide to return to the village of the sick to try and make sense of everything. Up speed, a tornado is forming. Riddis stands there gaping for 1 second too long and gets swept up in the tornado. It spins her round and round until she can hardly see straight. Fortune favors the bold. over a fine fishing spot. Some boughs perfect for fishing rods lie on the ground nearby. You decide to fish a while with your companions. You craft a simple rod, attach a piece of bait, and cast your line in the water. As you wait for a bite, all your companions' rods bend at once. They simultaneously struggle to pull their catches from the water. You decide to put your unresponsive rod down and help someone else with theirs. The rod bends repeatedly, showing a constant amount of resistance. Suddenly, the tugging ceases, and a bottle of medicine comes flying out of the water. Mar hugs the bottle and dances with joy. It's not a fish, but Mar seems happy nonetheless. Not wanting the bottle to break and injure Mar, you carefully take custody of it and tuck it into your bag. I'm exhausted, says Riddis. She certainly looks it. Bruno is silent and looks deep in thought. As you head into the village after your friends, another headache splits your skull. This place. Something about it is triggering a memory that feels like it's trying to claw its way out of your brain. Let's rest up at the inn, suggests Melanie, taking in everyone's state. You must fancy yourself quite the eccentric coming here, the innkeeper drones, as if incensed by your very presence. Stay if you want to stay, the innkeeper continues, utterly disinterested in even attempting to sell you on a room. Here to stay the night? The innkeeper asks the moment you set foot in the inn. At dinner time, you and your friends gather around the table. For a while, it's quiet, but then Melanie speaks up. Now that the dragon's been defeated, she says, what are we going to do? We go back to the castle and claim the reward for slaying him, you respond. But we didn't slay him, says Melanie, narrowing her eyes. The Ivory Order did. I want to learn a little more about this island, you say. Bruno agrees with you. They call this place Mount Medica. Something tells me there are still secrets to uncover. In truth, the Ivory Order wanted to capture the dragon alive, but Sherwin killed him. You can't help feeling the Ivory Order is still hiding something about this island, the dragon and the medicine. Whether you go after the Ivory Order or investigate the island, first and foremost, you need information. The Overseer should be pretty knowledgeable about the island, reasons Melanie. You decide to pay a visit to the Overseer after a good night's rest. Selfor, the village headman come overseer, comes out to welcome you. After detailing what happened atop the volcano, you ask him to tell you everything he knows about this island. So, the dragon's tears are the medicine's main ingredient, he muses. You ask Selfor if the medicine is made on this island. After a moment, he begins speaking in a quiet voice. He tells you about the medicine factory here on the island that the Ivory Order oversees, and that this village was founded in order to provide a steady supply of human test subjects for their new medicine. Now that you know the truth about the island and the village, you turn to Selfor and pose further questions. What do you mean, testing new medicine, you ask? Selfor explains that before the Ivory Order sends any of its medicines out to the greater world, they test them here first. With all the new medicines they're constantly prescribed, the villagers here suffer strange side effects. All except Selfor, who says he's exempt from the tests on account of being in charge of the village on the Order's behalf. Probing further, you ask, and the Ivory Order forced the dragon to make medicine at that factory? I'm almost positive they did, he replies. That explains why the Order wanted to capture him, says Bruno, understanding dawning on his face. But if that's the case, why did Sherwin flout the Order and kill the dragon? You're still missing the final piece of this puzzle. Sometimes we get people who try to escape, he says, his gaze dropping. The Order always catches them. This is horrible, says Melanie, a harrowed look on her face. You know the abandoned house at the western edge of the village? Well, once upon a time, a family of 4 lived there. As Selfor speaks, you feel all the blood drain from your body. There's something I'd like to see for myself at that house, you say, your brow creased. At the uncharacteristically somber look on your face, Melanie, Rittis, and Bruno give silent nods. We should head for the abandoned house. Stand before the dilapidated house. It looks like no one's lived here for a long, long time. You open the door and go inside, your gaze roving across the dusty space. Your eyes land on a progression of horizontal notches on the lower section of a support beam, markings to measure a child's growth. And carved into the beam beside the markings are your and Mars' names. Seeing your names unleashes a flood of memories you hadn't realized you'd kept locked away. The trauma of what happened, combined with the effects of the medicine, spurred the loss of your memories. But now you remember the horror in full detail. Sobbing, you gather Mar in your arms. Melanie, Riddis, and Bruno just stand there in silence, absorbing the truth of your origins. Melanie, who knows all too well the pain of losing your parents, turns to you with tears on her cheeks. We have a lot in common, you and I. That's how we've made it this far together, she says softly. Moved by her kindness, you give her a silent nod. But I've still got farther to go, you say, scrubbing your face dry. As painful as those memories are, something the Ivory Order disciples said gave you hope. If you can get your hands on an undiluted solution of dragon tear, you can restore Mar to her human form. And what was that about the place they called the mausoleum? That's probably a good enough place as any to start looking for dragon tear. Melanie doesn't miss the determination that blooms on your face. Whatever it is you need to do, she says, I'm with you. You ask Selfor if he's ever heard of a place called the Mausoleum. He tells you the steep cliffs north of the village block the way. To get to the mausoleum, you'll have to go around. He advises you to first go east and then head north from the wharf. The wharf, that's where we first docked, right? Clarifies Bruno. Ooh, the path to the mausoleum is a long one. If you start feeling weary on your journey, use the jump feature to return to the village. A giant boulder impedes the path. You stop, unable to go any farther. But when you turn around, who do you see but the Ivory Order trio? In a flash, you draw your weapons, but Headwind calls out, wait. Unlike the other times you've crossed paths, the trio doesn't seem keen on fighting you. You lower your weapons in response. Conveniently, you've got some questions for them anyway. You demand to know what the Ivory Order wants. There's no reason to hide it any longer, begins Headwind. He tells you of the immense fortune the Order amassed by selling the medicine they forced the dragon to make on this island. And he confirms recapturing the dragon was the Order's true goal. The dragon's imprisonment present on this island was a secret only the upper echelons of the Order were privy to. Even Queen Nilla didn't know. You ask where Sherwin disappeared to after he killed the dragon atop the volcano. We too seek Sherwin, says Winifred. Atop the volcano, Sherwin swore to destroy that place. Edwin says he was talking about the mausoleum. Winifred ponders the question of why Sherwin would betray the Order and kill the dragon. Alas, we cannot get to the mausoleum with this in our way, Edwin says, gesturing to the giant boulder. Upon closer examination of the boulder, you see fissures spidering along its surface. Perhaps it was weakened by the earthquake caused by the volcano erupting. With the right approach, you might be able to force your way through after all. You ask Bruno to put his brawn to use and smash the boulder to smithereens. He squares off in front of the giant stone and strikes the fissure with a mighty knife-edged chop. Silence rings for a moment before the boulder crumbles to dust. The Ivory Order trio offers a curt thanks before hurrying on ahead. The jerks. An old man totters along in front of you. With an eerie smile, he pauses and whispers, another eye of the dragon opens. Suddenly, the ground begins to quake so hard, you are nearly knocked off your feet. It stops as quickly as it came, and you let out a sigh of relief. The old man continues on his way, repeating to himself, "The eye has opened." Watch out, your friends cry, as something comes hurtling straight at your face. You keep your cool. Your friends gasp as you catch whatever it is before it clobbers you. Sign standing prominently on the cane. This sign reads, "Strike the stealer somewhere on this island." Oh yeah? What will happen if you do, you wonder? Come across two men sitting on a rock. They take no notice of you or the party, but you can hear their fervent discussion. You listen in and deduce that they are a pair of thieves. You lean in, trying to hear what else the thieves are talking about. You catch pieces of the conversation here and there. Stashed the goods away. That island shaped like a... right in the dragon's nostril. It sounds like they've just told you where to find their stolen loot. The dragon's nostril? You cock your head in disbelief, but just manage to maintain your concentration. Your perseverance pays off. You come to learn that the island itself is shaped not unlike the dragon's head. You hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. As if to test its solidity. You swear you feel a rumble coming from the east. A monster appears to be in pain. Seems the poor thing's been poisoned. You may be able to aid it by administering some antidote. Pity on the creature and administer some antidote. Healthy once more, it gets up and makes its way to who knows where. Every so often, you catch it looking back at you, but before long, it's out of sight. just stands there, stock still, staring at you. Suddenly it makes a pained face, acting as if it's been poisoned. Aha! This must be the monster you saved with the antidote. It places a medicine bottle at your feet and is gone as quickly as it came. Suppose that's its way of saying thanks. The bizarre rock transformed into an aqua rock. The only way out of this fight is through it. You did great. Not even a rock climber can do it. Something's catching the sunlight just so. You move closer to get a better look at it. You find a chest lodged in the hollow of a tree. Something about this feels familiar. You fish a note out of your pack. Sure enough, this is the location those thieves mentioned when you were eavesdropping. Quite convinced you found their stash, you open the chest with a self-satisfied smirk on your face. things get swept up in the tornado. By the time you escape it, you're battered and bruised all over. Bizarre rock transformed into a gold rock. Thinking you won't catch anything worthwhile, you leave the area. Pick up a scrap of paper dropped by some manner of monster. It has a message scrawled on it. Clearly, whoever dropped this message did not want to stash the scrap of paper in your pack and resolve to keep an eye out for the treasure on your travels. Just the natural order of things, you tell yourself, until you believe it. Walk away. You anticipate the tornado's path correctly and avoid getting swept up. be instantly transported to any location you've previously visited. Travel for 100 gold pieces. You turn the magical key in the lock, and the door opens. He tells you this is where So, you see, you won't find anything. There's a scrap of paper on the ground where the guard was standing. You pick it up and read it. Calling all heroes. Whomsoever slays the dragon shall be handsomely rewarded. Gradually become aware of a voice calling out to your party. Looking around, you spy an old man, a traveler like you, perhaps, stuck in a hole and flailing wildly. You yank the old man free. Oh, why you here? Would you mind taking me to Nexton? He asks. It seems an old friend of his lives in Nexton, and he'd like very much to see this chump. He says he'll make it worth your while. Will you show him the way to Nexton? You ask the old man about himself. It turns out he belongs to a wealthy family. Visions of lavish rewards begin to dance in your head. You offer him safe passage to Nexton. The old man looks considerably relieved as the party sets foot inside Nexton. He reaches into his pack and hands you a pouch full of gold. This is to be your reward, he says. The next instant, he takes off for the center of town, shouting, "I shall be there soon, my love." Lying in the grass, you find an old telescope. You figure a look at the path ahead can't hurt, and pick it up. All you know is there's something up ahead. You should be able to, figuring it's best not to go looking for trouble. You decide to detour around it. Still, you can't help wondering what that thing was. come across two mins, you hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. Something's catching the sunlight just so. Sure enough, this is the location. You're quite convinced you've found their stash. You open the chest with a self-satisfied smirk on your face. Hastily grab a scrap of paper, write down what you've heard, and quietly sneak away. You spy a rather large number of monster prints on the ground. A wry smile plays across your lips, As you remove the scrap of you pull from your pack, you feel around in the grass for a few moments. The scrap of paper tells no lies. You greedily open the chest. Journey onward, only to see a suspicious-looking elder appear before you, a bottle of medicine dangling from his waist. He proclaims himself a man of medicine who has discovered a revolutionary new curative. He would have one of your party drink it as a test. There's no harm in trying it, he boldly claims. Well, I'll handle this, Bruno volunteers, smiling broadly. One hand on his hip, he downs the bottle's contents in a single gulp. Bruno flexes tentatively, then mightily, and scoops the Doctor of Sorts up in an enormous bear hug. My muscles have never felt better, he shouts with glee. For a moment, you fear he'll crush the poor man to death. Despite looking extremely uncomfortable, the Doctor of Sorts hands Bruno another bottle of the stuff. Perhaps he was satisfied with the reaction. Melanie's face twists in disgust, but she soon relents. Here's hoping this does something useful, she mutters, and takes a swig. I don't feel so well, Melanie mutters through a hand pressed to her mouth. What have you done to my friend? Who's going to pay for her treatment? Money, now, you shout at the so-called doctor. Forgive me, please, he stammers, handing you another bottle before fleeing out of sight. Fortunately, for you at least, it seems Melanie simply found the taste of the brew rather foul. Ritis remarks that she's been feeling thirsty. She snaps up the bottle and happily gulps down its contents. Ritis's nose begins to twitch. She begins furiously sniffing the air around her. Has the brew heightened her sense of smell? Is it turning her into a dog? Both? She trots off, only to return sometime later from a great distance away with something in her hands. She tosses it toward you. Your eyes gradually focus on the bomb? It's a bomb! Has she gone mad? Despite your abject panic, you somehow manage to softly pluck the bomb out of the air and prevent it from obliterating the party. Is this what I think it is? Bruno yelps in surprise as the power of the concoction reveals itself to him. What's the matter? Answer me, he appears to mutter to his biceps. That, the doctor of sorts says softly, was a muscle relaxer. Bruno's arms fall limp at his sides, much to his dismay. It seems this is a defeat from which, emotionally, he may never recover. our rock transformed into a treasure rock. She experiences a sudden surge of magic power. The rush is so sudden, she can't quite contain it. A stray bolt of pure magical power strikes you in the chest and sends you flying. You land squarely on your back. In seconds, you scramble to your feet to lodge righteous indignation in Melanie's direction. You turn to accost the doctor, but he's gone. Seconds later, the magic that issued forth from every fiber of Melanie's being fades, and her powers return to normal. I think my financial fortunes just improved, she says, her eyes blinking with wonder. The doctor of sorts shakes his head. That is not something medicine can affect. Riddis pays the doctor of sorts as thanks, clearly not having heard his remark. Your hand falls on your open coin purse. Hey, that's your money. Mar leaps out and takes up the bottle, greedily gulping down the concoction. Mar's eyes open almost impossibly wide. It looks as though the mysteries of the universe have all become clear. The Doctor of Sorts is positively giddy with excitement at his success. It seems whoever quaffs this brew gains access to special powers. You catch sight of figures you are pretty sure are Ivory Order disciples standing at the door to the mausoleum. Let us through, you say, but something isn't right. Trespassers will be disposed of on orders of Master Sherwin. Kill, they murmur dispassionately, and then attack. favors the bold. Seems the Ivory Order disciples have come back to themselves. Their faces are blank. Apparently, they don't recall anything after Sherwin ordered them to guard the door. Could he have hypnotized them? The Ivory Order disciples are gone. The party leaves the inn feeling rested. You shall not pass. Die. Let's do this. You sense something strange about this place. You can hardly make out your surroundings in the dim. You'd best watch your step. An Ivory Order disciple stands in your way. Something strange about this one, too. This is as far as you will get. Let's do this. Unlike the lower level, the lights are lit. Someone's been here. Another Ivory Order disciple blocks your path. Trespassers will be disposed of. another ivory impasse. How many of them are there in here? On the orders of Master Sherwin. Rout the enemy. That knight wanted to stop you from going any further. There's more here than meets the eye. Why not check the wall? Would you look at that? A secret passage. This must be what that sign was talking about. Definitely what that sign was hinting at. Be sure to keep an eye out in case there are more. You see a disciple of the Ivory Order shouldering a bag of medicine bottles. Would you like to buy some salves for your journey? She asks. You ask her to show you her wares. She lines up several medicines before you. Take care of yourselves, she says as she continues on her way. Yet another secret passage. How many of these things are there? They put a secret passage here? Whoever built this place was seriously twisted. Figures there'd be a secret passage here, too. Go on and see where it leads. You sense an extraordinary presence ahead. You'd best not proceed unprepared. You sense an immense power enshrouding the whole of this floor. The Ivory Order trio lies collapsed at Sherwin's feet. Sherwin glances your way as he notices your presence. You again. What are you after? You ask him. This is the heart of the mausoleum, where the Order kept the dragon prisoner and harvested dragon tear. The Order perfected a technique to distill medicine from the preternatural magic imbued in dragon tear. So you were right in thinking you could find Mars' cure here. Sherwin pays you no mind, continuing. How I detested that medicine. It took my parents from me. You struggled to conceal your shock that you and Sherwin suffered the same tragedy. Nursing his grudge, he infiltrated the Order so that he could destroy it from the inside out. After being elevated to the Order's highest echelons, he learned the dragon was the source of the medicine. Ever since, he had been awaiting his chance to kill the dragon. He finally got it atop the volcano. Now all that's left is to destroy this forsaken place, and the realm will be restored to how it was before the medicine, to how it ought to be. Sherwin stands before the altar and begins mumbling an incantation. It looks like he's gearing up to perform some sort of rite. The mausoleum will be destroyed if you don't stop Sherwin. And if that happens, you'll never get your hands on any dragon tear. Prepare yourself. The Ivory Order trio are still alive, but don't have the strength to get up. You attempt to stop Sherwin's rite. But the fallen Ivory Order trio totter to their feet. Master Sherwin, says Winifred, unable to quell her trembling. Why? You used us, growls Berwin, narrowing his eyes at Sherwin. Your actions betray everything the Order stands for, spits Hedwin. Sherwin does not dispute the accusations. On the contrary, he confirms them. Everything I've done, including using you, is to purge this world of that medicine. Sherwin returns his concentration to the rite. You race toward Sherwin to stop the rite, but then Winifred blocks your way. Winifred puts out her arm. You're not strong enough to stop him. He's one of the strongest among the Ivory Order's ranks, she says. Still, says Melanie, batting Winifred's hand out of the way, we have to do something. Let us help. Sherwin pivots to face you, snarling. I will crush any who dare stand in my way. Sherwin attacks. It'll take more than numbers to win here. The altar was destroyed in the fight. The bottles placed upon the altar as an offering now lie in shattered pieces across the ground. Sherwin, bloodied and beaten, lies sprawled across the ground. Give up already, you say. Then from the folds of his cloak, Sherwin withdraws a vial of dragon tear. So it has come to this, he murmurs, before gulping it down. Sherwin's body begins morphing into something grotesque. You hear a voice echoing in your head. A lifeless world, a deathless world. This fetid plain will be purged so that it gleams pure white once more. I, the Owisiswin, will make sure of it. some of the blame for allowing this to happen. Winifred and the others combine their magic for an all-powerful strike. The brunt of the blow renders the Owishaswin motionless. But in your head echoes a familiar voice. There is no denying me. This world will fall, as will you. The Owishaswin stirs, stretching his humongous wings. Their power depleted, Winifred and company retreat from the fort. The Owishaswin screeches a bloodthirsty shriek as he bears down on you once again. touched by my power. The Owicious Wind's power inhibits your actions. The Owicious Wind gathers his immense strength. You have to do something. But the Owicious Wind's power binds you. Struggling against his power, Melanie recalls Vince's final words. Your spell can make this world a better place. Through everything, realization strikes her. The only way out of this is to use forbidden magic. I offer myself, body and soul, as payment. Melanie recites the spell, then turns to you. I'm sorry, she says, her voice faint. You'll have to finish what you started without me. Melanie's powerful magic has bound the Owicious Wind. That same power, though, has also bound her. Her power drained from casting the spell, Melanie collapses to the ground. Her spell breaks the power binding you. You can move freely again and feel your strength return. The spell has bound the Owicious Wind. Now's your chance to end this. Give it all you got. You defeated the Owicious Wind. Sherwin, returned to his human form, seems not long for this world. You rush to Melanie's side. The moment you reach her, you notice something strange. Melanie's transformed into a monster. Just then, Winifred and the others return from their search of the area. It seems the emergency stores of dragon tear kept in the altar were all dashed upon the ground during your battle with Sherwin. Despair buckles your knees. You've lost Melanie and any hope of changing Mar back. Winifred slips something into your hand. You hold it up and see the empty vial of dragon tear that Sherwin drank. But if you squint, you can make out one last drop in the bottom. You got a vial of dragon tear from Winifred. The world, cut off from its supply of medicine with the dragon's death. Your twin, for whom you have searched high and low for some way of restoring her human form. And Melanie, transformed into a monster and lying prone before your very eyes. You must decide for which purpose to put the all-powerful dragon tear. Wishing for the dragon's revival, you head toward the volcano. At the peak of the volcano, you tip the dragon tear into the roiling lava. The dragon comes back to life. You sacrificed your own kin and comrades to help me? He asks softly. Foolish human. He launches into the sky. You watch him fly away into the distance. After escaping the mausoleum, you take Melanie and Mar with you on another sojourn round the realm. You hope, one day, to find more dragon tear and turn them both human again. Afterwards, your reputation grows, not as a bounty hunter, but as a monster whisperer, thanks to your two companions. It's not exactly how you envisioned getting famous, but that is a tale for another time.